After the insane 10.0 news dropped yesterday, overnight we got all 30 of the kits fully confirmed. This video is going to be going over what all of those are and giving my very brief analysis on them. I'm going to keep it short because I plan to do videos in the future going over all the kits in more detail when they actually release. That said, if you want to know ahead of time what every single weapon has, then stay tuned, subscribe if you enjoy, and let's get started. First up is Splash-O-Matic, finally the opportunity to give it Zipcaster like everyone's been asking for, which is exactly why they gave it the C-Gen kit. First up, Splash, Mist Storm. We're not off to a good start. I don't know what this is supposed to do, really. Neo Splash already paints really well, and Vanilla Splash has a more aggressive kit, and this one just kind of does neither of them well at all. And you can also pick C-Jet. Carbon got Fizzy Bomb and Super Chump. This is also a repeat of the Bamboo Mach 2. I think this kit is a little bit more thought out. Fizzy can obviously be used as a paint trail, and Fizzy and Chump can paint if I guess you need your Carbon to paint. Obviously not a very powerful kit by any means, but one that gives Carbon a little more mobility than its base one. Continuing our theme of repeats, I don't know why that's a theme, we have Dapple Splat Bomb Whale, the Vanilla Brush kit. I think this could see use on weaker slider maps. It's a bit of a faster and more consistent bomb, and Whale's damage can help sometimes, as well as can displace enemies a bit further away from you, but I'm unsure if it'll really match the power of the Torb Slider kit. And our final kit repeat, the Vanilla Squeezer kit of Wall and Zuka, is repeated on the Paintbrush. We gave Paintbrush a wall. Again, when I go in more detail, I'll talk about the applications for this, but safe to say it's not good. This is basically a jump out, also throw a wall, and hope it prevents you from trading. That's not the greatest scenario in the world. Zuka for it, however, is pretty damn good, so we'll take it. The next kit is pretty good though. Tri-Slosher with Splat Bomb and Screen. Splat Bomb Tri is fairly self-explanatory, but it's important to remember that Tri-Slosher not only can sharken its own screen, not only can roll Splat Bombs through the screen more easily, but can also just kill you if you walk through the screen. You take 40, Tri does 62, and you die. So quite effective at working off the special's damage. I think this is one of the better ones. Wiper has Curling Bomb and Zuka. I get what they were going for with Curling helping the mobility, but I think Wiper kind of needs a sub that helps a little bit more with keeping enemies away from it, or helping with its weaker kill time with horizontal slashes. You'll have to be very good at playing around that. Zuka, on the other hand, is just straight up good. I guess sometimes you might be a little too close to use it comfortably, but Panic Zuka is still pretty solid, so I'd say it's nice. Now we have two banger kits, and they are the backlines. We're giving Pencil some competition here. First up is Charger. This has Sprinkler and Crab. Kensa Charger, you are redeemed for your existence because the reference is so much better than it ever was. Crab on Charger can directly cover the things Charger is bad at while being good into options like Pencil. It is amazing, I'm very excited, and Sprinkler will help with its output. Rapid Pro, on the other hand, might not have gotten its wall, but Suction Cooler is a pretty close second. Suction can obviously help with paint and giving it a little bit more versatility, but Tacticooler is the big question mark here. Can it output enough of its special to be a viable alternate to Pencil? We'll have to see. Up next is the Splatter Shot Pro, and this is our first new missile option. I think that making Pro the missile weapon, one that struggles a little bit more with output and is a little bit more of a mix of a fighting weapon, was a really interesting route to go. It's also paired with Splat Bomb, so it's a pretty standard kit that can work in most scenarios, but making Pro a missile option is definitely a way to make it more special. This kit seems really interesting and should be better than the other Pros since it has much less competition for its role. Next up is Jet Squelcher, which got so close to being perfect. We got Burst Bomb and Triple Splashdown. Honestly, given it works on Explo, Triple Splashdown might be okay. It does have good synergy with Burst, and it's at least pushing the kit more aggressive, which is healthy for it, all things considered. That said, will Splashdown have good enough utility to be worth it? We'll have to wait and see. Next up is Mini Splatling with Beacon and another Zuka. 3 bazookas out of 15 weapons. Yeah, I mean, this kit is fine. Beacon is something Mini can set up. It doesn't super need a bomb, and Zuka is, again, just fine on Mini. So I can see this having use for Beacon maps, but ultimately I don't have too strong opinions on it right now. Up next is H3. This comes with Suction Bomb and Tri-Strike, being our 5th kit that already exists already, in this case being on the Neo Splash. The main weapon is fundamentally very different, being more of a fighting and midline option that can also be supportive, while Neo Splash basically never wants to fight. However, Neo Splash is still very good at its role, so I think H3 will have to find a different alternative. But I think H3 doesn't overlap too heavily. To me, these weapons would require different comps, and a lot of this is going to come down to, is H3 good enough to shine with this kit? And we'll have to wait and see for that. Next up is the biggest winner of Barazushi, and that is Reflux with Torp and Booyah Bomb, an old dream kit of mine. I don't know if I can ever find the source on that though, but I swear this is something I have wanted for the weapon. Torp can help with damage, locating enemies, and overall makes the weapon more consistent, while Booyah Bomb could be a panic option, as well as allowing you to paint or help get your team in. It is a truly flexible kit, allowing Reflux to use either playstyle, and I am incredibly excited to see what's going to happen with this weapon. If you want to push Reflux, there has never been a better time. And then after all these bangers, Barazushi's going to end with Mist Chump Tentabrella. I guess chumps technically also help with tanking, but like, I don't know if that was really needed. And then Mist is just kind of there. It's not awful by any means, but I don't ever see why this would be used over either of its other kits. RIP Tent with Hammer. It was one of the easiest hammer choices we had. Oh well. And with that, we transition over to the 15 Embers kits. Alright, next up is Embers. I'm recording this at 3 AM, so apologies if it sounds a little off. First off is the Splatter Shot. This weapon got its burst bomb back that it's had in the previous games, but paired with a brand new special of Kraken Royale. I think it's pretty obvious that they're going for a much more aggressive Splatter Shot playstyle. Burst bomb definitely leans to that, and I think it should be solid, but I also have serious doubts about its ability to keep up with the other shots. It should definitely be a really fun kit though. Blaster is up next with Beacon and Crab Tank. Crab on Blaster is really good. Sometimes it could be a little bit up close, but overall it's a very solid special for it, and we don't have a Crab on a Blaster, but I'm not really quite sure what they were thinking with Beacon, other than I guess it's not on any of the Blasters so far. Personally, I don't think Blaster wants to set him up that much, but I guess if it's going to jump in, sometimes it'll be able to use it, and Beacon is not the worst thing ever, so it's definitely a solid kit. After that is Aerospray, which got its Burst Bomb back from the previous games. Once again, another Burst Bomb shooter. We got 3 Burst Bomb shooters in this, it's insane. But the special is going to be totally different, being Splatter Color Screen. I'm going to be honest, I don't really see much synergy with this at all, nor do I think Aerospray gets a whole lot out of screen. This feels very random. 96 gets Line Marker and Tacticooler. This is our second new cooler weapon, and this time we are going with a more short to mid-range option. Dart does at least combo with the weapon, even with the sub of bomb defense. I'm a little bit unsure of its consistent utility, to be honest. However, I do think Cooler on 96, if it's a low points for special, is still very promising, and it could be better in terms of main weapons than something like Zap, so I wouldn't be surprised if we ended up seeing the weapon in the right comps. In particular, I think there's a good chance we see this paired with the new Charger. Up next is Dreadringer, and I didn't get my perfect kit, but I got pretty close. We have Curling Bomb and Crab Tank. Crab is absolutely perfect for Dread. It can combo with it very easily between itself and the main weapon. It also has an AoE function, and it allows it to position more defensively. Curling Bomb is more of the wild card here, but it does still paint. It can still do lethal damage. The bump is enough to combo with the 90, and I think that helping with mobility for a weapon that does have mobility problems definitely has some utility, so I'm excited to try it out. I do think it's better than the vanilla Dread, and again, it's 3 AM, I can't say too much right now, but I am very happy to be free from Reef Slider. Unfortunately, Dually Squelchers were a lot less lucky. It got Sensor and Screen. It gave a screen! No! The sub and special have synergy with each other. Also, it's worth noting, Dually Squelcher doesn't even combo with it. 2 shots from the weapon does 56, Screen does 40, and that leaves you at 96 HP. This literally did not make any sense. I find it a little unbelievable that Squelchers now has 3 specials that are kind of, you throw them out and they just kind of exist for a bit. I feel like that's a lot of overlap, and that's a little bit too much here, and unfortunately I don't see this being better than the other kits, so I really hope the patch clutches up for this weapon. Splatana Stamper got a 3rd good kit alongside Dualies. Is just continuing to be the favorite child of the developers. In this case, we have Auto Bomb and Booyah, particularly be good for tower control, which is currently its weakest mode. It gives it a bomb that it can use more frequently, a way to deal with Sharkers, and another potential panic option, even though it already has 2 of those already. There isn't really too much to say. It's an amazing kit. Hydra is after this, and it's something I actually predicted, which is Sprinkler and Big Bubbler. I think that this has big potential to actually see some competitive use, which would be very new for Hydra. Bubbler being set up where Hydra can stand can make it really difficult to contest from long-range weapons, and if you put it in something like Tower, it could be really good. It can paint for its bubble more easily with its Sprinkler, and having Sprinkler and the beacon inside the bubble could give ways of tanking if you somehow manage to get into the bubble. I think that this weapon will be a big setup option, and Bubble really allows it to play better into that than any of its previous kits. Undercover is up after that with Curling Bomb and Killer Whale. I have no idea what on earth they were going for with this kit. I don't see what Curling Bomb does for it, nor Killer Whale. It doesn't do a whole lot of damage to combo with it. I guess if you hit 2 direct hits, it does 80. Even that isn't that special compared to other whale weapons. This is probably the most mismatched kit I have seen so far. I really don't see this having any viability without some serious undercover buffs. Dooley is up after this, and like with Stamper, this is a favorite for the devs, getting another really good kit, being Fizzy Bomb and Big Bubbler. That's amazing for it, obviously. Fizzy can be used as a movement tool, you can get a lot of your special, and Dooley can very easily set up Bubble with its dodge rolls. So I think that it'll be really interesting to see, and I can see it being very good with dive comps, such as being picked with the new Rapid. Big Swig Roller is up after this with Torp and Splashdown. I think that this kit is more solid than I gave it credit for on my first reaction. Torp is obviously amazing for it. You can roll Torp to finally combo with the horizontal flick for a kill, and it has a lot of support utility. Splashdown can help with capping zones, and it at least keeps people from rushing Big Swig. However, I think the Swig is really going to struggle when people are staying outside of its range, as they can just shoot Torp down, and Splashdown won't do as much for it. And generally, this isn't really a full support kit, but it at least gives it enough utility to fend for itself and make it a lot harder to take down. So I could still see it being an average weapon at the end of the day if Big Swig players are able to push it. L3 is up next, and thankfully, it's finally getting its Inkjet back. It'll be paired with Splat Bomb this time since Burst is already taken, but I think this is an excellent kit. L3 worked very well with Jetpack. It definitely plays to its output a little bit more, and we don't really have an Inkjet shooter because Nova is definitely dead in the water now, so I'm really excited to see what L3 can do. This is a weapon we haven't seen that much, and I think Splat Bomb will still help for a quick detonation bomb that can lead to a 1 burst. Very excited. Octobrush is another kit that a lot of people predicted with Auto Bomb and Kraken, a mix of its Splatoon 1 and 2 kits. I'm very excited for this as well. Auto Bomb's a cheap sub, it can use it very easily, worked very well with it in Splatoon 2, and Kraken can allow it to force itself into areas where, unlike Caster, it won't have a recall and it'll be able to actually stay there and wreak havoc. I think that this is potentially the strongest Octobrush kit in the game, and it's really cool to see Kraken on some more mobile weapons. Second to last is Tri-Stringer. We have Line Marker and Inkjet. Dart does have some combos with Tri-Stringer, but I'm still not really a big fan of the sub unless if we see some buffs. Inkjet, on the other hand, is a big wild card. It could potentially work off of Tri-Stringer's damage. However, it's going to be a big gamble on how well it's going to do, given other anchors are generally good into it. That being said, it's definitely a clear upgrade from Super Chump and Killer Whale, so I'm excited to see what will happen, and if nothing else, I think this looks like one of the most fun kits they're adding to the game, so I'd still say this is a win. Last, but close to being least, is the Dynamo Roller. They gave this Sensor and Killer Whale. I do not know why we have 11 Killer Whales in the game and 6 missiles, but alright. Sensor Whale does have some synergy. This is the V-Nova kit, but it doesn't really do a whole lot for Dynamo. Most importantly, none of this toolkit has a way for Dynamo to paint under itself quickly, meaning you are completely dependent on the slow main weapon. I really don't see this having use over its other 2 kits without some serious buffs. I guess you could potentially pick it for like Flounder against sharking weapons if you really want to, but I think the utility is extremely limited. Oh, and by the way, the patch came out and it is really small, so I'm going to cover it very briefly. S-Blast is going to be 11% more ink hungry. This will mainly reduce the amount of time it can use double burst at once. Good change. The second change to S-Blast is 3 more frames of end lag. This is mostly reverting the 5-frame buff it got before. Personally, I think 3 frames is a little bit much, but we'll have to see how it pans out later. Toxic Mist will be 55% of the ink tank, but take a little bit longer to recover your ink. This means I was right when I talked about the 10 Umbrella kit. It was 55% of the ink tank. Also, Mist is slightly better, but I don't think it's a major change. Tri-Strike and Booyah Bomb deal double damage to Crab. I don't think Tri-Strike needed it, but sure, that's fine for Booyah Bomb. Crab Tank's AoE hit will now do 50 damage instead of 60, so this is the piercing shot, meaning if you hit both, it'll do 80 instead. Doesn't really break much combos other than the AoE shot to ball roll combo. Finally, Wavebreaker. This is getting a 20% HP increase, which will move it up from 400 to 480. In addition to that, all Splatanas will do 50% less damage. This means no longer getting one tap from Stamper at a distance and more durability, though Object Shredder E-Liter will still one-shot it. That said, I think it's a good buff that'll make shredding Wavebreaker more of a commitment than it should have been from day one. Again, this patch is just really small, there isn't a whole lot to talk about, so that'll wrap up this video. Overall, with 30 weapon kits, it's hard to not feel anything but excitement for what's to come. I'd say that Barazushi did a little bit better at having more solid kits overall, as a lot of Embers definitely feels like half and half, but there aren't too many totally awful kits. Here's the new sub and special distribution. I definitely think we'll be seeing more of these drop in the future, and I'm really excited to see more. Again, I'll do a full breakdown of these in the future, but that said, I hope you're looking forward to all these kits, and I will see you all next time.